Good evening and welcome once again to another episode of the Terry McGriff Show. Just so happy to be here, man. It's been a lovely, lovely day. Pretty hectic week this week. Coming out of our last weekend where we just had the Women's Tackle Football League National Championship and the Legacy Bowl. And just happy to be in another week. We got a great show for you today, folks. I'm just excited. I'm going to bring in my illustrious co-host before we get into any of that stuff. Mr. Andre L. Sullivan of the iHeartRadio, man. Andre, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm good. I'm a little remiss, man. We lost a great Jacksonville native and a JU legend here recently. Coach Lynn Shell recently succumbed to the COVID-19. He actually bought me this sweatshirt. He was the head coach of Reebok High School for the past few years, moved over to Jackson High School. Greatly missed guy in the community. We'll miss him, but it's still, like Lynn used to tell us all the time, any day above ground is a good day.
All right. I feel you. So condolences to him and the family and all the JU family as well and Reebok family. Man, it's just, we got a special show today. I'm just so excited. This is one of my guys right here coming in. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff today, but we're definitely gonna talk about it with somebody that's got some great insight for a lot of stuff. We're gonna bring in today. We call Mr. First Lieutenant, but he's the first in my heart as far as all my friends and family are outside of our business in the sports world. Mr. Nick Schrage. He was the punter and kickoff specialist at the Army Academy, was a Lou Groza Award finalist. And right now he's currently active duty in the Army, but he's about to go play some professional football. As soon as we find him with the right fit, he'll be playing professional here. So I wanted to catch him before he gets into somebody's camp and just get some insight so we can get a little bit of insight about a whole bunch of things. First off, we're going to talk some sports, and then we're going to talk some Army, Navy, and just Service Academy sports, and just to get a lot of insight from him. So I'm just so happy and thrilled. But before we get into that, I would definitely want to tell everybody, if you love our content, you know what you need to do. Hit that like button. You also subscribe and tell your friends also subscribe to this channel. And when we're doing that, make sure that you take care of our sponsors. Watch Game Film and Team Sportswear Direct, along with the Women's Tackle Football League, the DEM Project, and Laces Out. Man, I'm just happy. I'm trying to rush through this, but I want to rush through this and not take care of our friends. But I can't wait to get on and just talk with you and Mr. Nick Schrage about what's going on in the world of sports. So our topics for today, we're going to talk about the training camp. There he is.
How we doing, Terry? Hey, I'm great. I'm happy to be here, Terry, Andre. You guys, happy to be on the show. I'm really excited. Talk some sports. Talk some academy stuff, and we're gonna see where we are at the end of the day. There's gonna be some hot takes, and I'm more than happy to give you guys my insight. Again, really happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is gonna be a fun show. And this is actually our first time when we had somebody else with us, so this is going to be great, knowing how to share the spotlight a little bit. But our topics for today, we're going to talk about the AFC South. We're going to this one to be one of our previews, but we're going to start up because training camp just started last week, and everybody's getting into full blown. I think people today, if today is Tuesday, so a lot of the teams are finally into pads. So it was a lot of stuff that was going on today, a lot of crazy little injuries, things that. The injury bug, once again, is showing his lucky head around the NFL. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our AFC South preview. We're going to continue that. And then we're going to talk about you, Nick, and your experiences. We're going to talk about service academies. We're going to talk about a whole gambit of things, military related, and how your life has been, and a whole bunch of things. So me and Andre are going to be bombarding you with some questions. That's a great word to use for an Army man.
Hey, feel free. That's what I'm here for. Ask any question you want. I'm more than happy to talk about it. Whatever you need, I'm here.
Gotcha. So let's get into it, guys.
All right.
Let's get into a training camp. Andre, this has been some crazy training camps. We got some things that have been going on. I know you've been around the world as far as you know what's going on in the world. One of your favorite people I found out, and your favorite rookies got nicked up with the Eagles today, a day or so ago. So I want to know what you're thinking about that, and let me talk to you first. What do you think in your experience about so far the first week or so of training camp?
Listen, people, I don't know if you guys know this, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you know this, Coach. Nick, obviously, you know this, being an Army guy and then playing football. Hey, football is a full contact sport.
Yep.
You can put on the whole armor of God, and you're going to still get hit. And that's what it is. That's what I mean. It's the first day of pads in the NFL. People are getting paid to literally end you. So that's what's happening. And I mean, of course, the people are going to get nicked up, especially your rookies. I don't know if you guys saw it on the NFL Network there. They showed it or not. Travis Etienne took a hellified hit from Miles Jack coming across the middle. But listen, it happens. It happens. It's not going away. Unless we start playing flag football. I mean, if that's what people are into, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, it's not going away anytime soon. So, first day of pads, they'll go ice up. They have literally regiments for that, for procedures in place for these type of things. Your favorite guy's going to get a little banged up. It's going to happen, you guys. Preseason starts this week for 2 teams, next week for the rest of the NFL. Get ready.
Mm-hmm. So, Nick, tell me what your take. What do you think about this, and what do you think about all this, especially the first week?
It's training camp. Let's call it what it is. The NFL, like he says, I don't think it's a full contact sport. It's a collision sport, right? It's full speed. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? You come into training camp, and these are guys who have not touched the field in a little bit. I remember, as a kicker and a punter, I'm watching these guys who I played with, like Darnell Woolfolk, James Nautigal, right? These are guys who come out there in T-shirt and shorts. Sports is one thing, right? Spring ball is one thing. It's another when you get out there and you start lowering your shoulder and you start hitting people. And for a lot of these guys like Travis Etienne, Devonta Smith, welcome to the NFL hit. It's expected, right? And there's not much you could do. You got phenomenal athletic training staffs. But at the end of the day, you're going to get your licks. And training camp, the Giants camp, you got, a couple scuffles that, Joe Judge had to go and really lay the wood down with these guys, having a massive brawl. And it's what it is. It's hot. It's August, and they're going to get after it, right? These are type A alpha males who are in the greatest game in the world, who are competitors, and they're going to get out there and be meat eaters. And I'm excited to see what's to come. Storylines are storylines. This should come of no surprise to anybody that this happened. And you know what? It's only going to get better. It's only going to happen again and again. And we're going to have more to talk about next week. For sure.
And, Coach, Nick brought up something else. The Giants did have big brawl. Guess who was at the bottom of that pile? Your starting quarterback.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah. I listen, as a head coach, I'm pissed. As a teammate, I'm happy because my quarterback is about that life. But at the end of the day, like Nick said, it happens. It happens. This is training camp, and this is probably the first of 32 fights that we'll be hearing about the next coming week.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. When I was in camp, Coach Monken made it pretty cut and dry. He had the philosophy that he had at Georgia Southern. He had it with us. You got guys who scrap. Right, he's gonna have you hold hands, and you're gonna walk around the field with each other.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
you're gonna get it settled. At the end of the day, you're gonna squash that beef right there.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy for the Carolina Panthers who just got released for what they said was too vicious of a hit on one of the wide receivers. So they like, okay, you're out of here. So I mean, it's that time of year. And already you see the brawls and the fighting in camp. So people are starting to get tired of hitting the same jerseys and seeing the same jerseys already. So it's going to be a little interesting how we go. That's just the camp goes until we start playing games, at least the 3 preseason games, which is very interesting this year for us. Obviously, last season we didn't get any preseason games, rightfully so. This year we're going to, because we have a 17 regular season game season, they cut down 1 preseason game. And so we're down to 3. And so you're going to get a lot of people that's trying to make their name before they get the training. I mean, before they get that that first preseason game, because I think there's going to be a lot more stars that are not playing in these games. So people are trying to get their shine on in front of those coaches right now because they may not get a chance at it in the preseason game. Andre, tell me what your thoughts are.
I got to say this. So you got.
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, no. So I got to say this. You got 90 men on that roster, right? You got guys who are coming out there, and they're trying to earn that job. And it comes to no surprise that there's going to come a point where you're like, I'm tired of hitting the same dudes, right? But you got to understand you're still teammates, and you got to make good decisions, right? You're not going to go out there and you're going to go helmet to helmet. I mean, we had that happen yesterday with the Panthers. And, cost a guy a spot on the team. He got waived. We had a guy at the Panthers camp who had to get taken out in the stretcher, and thank God he's okay. It's just a concussion. But ultimately, it's the same MO. Right? You got a lot of dudes at the starting line who are really biting at the bit and ready to get after it.
Also, even to add on to top of what Nick is saying, Coach, remember, like you said, 3 preseason games. That's it. So if I'm number 90 out of 90 men, somebody got to feel me. Somebody gonna catch this shoulder out of nowhere. Like, and my job is to make this my job. And your job might be to get in my way. So I apologize for that one day.
You're right. I mean, you're thinking about this is the livelihood for everybody right now. I mean, people are fighting literally for their livelihoods, and it's going to be one of those things that you're going to do what you got to do to make it on this team, especially if you're an undrafted player or a journeyman free agent. You're going to do what you got to do to make this roster. So there's a little bit more energy seeming like in this camp than most camps, and maybe it was just because we just didn't have a real good camp and knew about a lot was going on last year because of the preseason was gone and COVID. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with a lot of these guys. I'm trying to see what the preseason is going to hold about. Who's going to be the rookie that pops up in training? I mean, in preseason games that nobody's heard of. Now, this guy made a great play, because those good highlights that you see on SportsCenter and things of that nature on the preseason games. You guys got any thoughts on what are these rookies are going through?
I'm trying to think here. I mean, I can't speak to what the rookies are going through in camp. I'm still trying to get my way into a camp myself. But how I see it is it's a learning curve, right? And we're going to talk about it more when we start talking about the AFC South preview, right? And everyone's talking about what's to come with guys like Trevor Lawrence, and should you play him immediately and what you got to do. I think that you got to understand these are still guys who are 21 to 24 years old, right? And you got to give them time to develop. So yeah, you might have a highlight play, great, a one-handed catch. Like you're looking at CeeDee Lamb in camp, and he's looking phenomenal, right? He's just making it look acrobatic. But I say this: it's not about the highlights you make in training camp, or the highlights at all. It's about doing the fundamentals right and the stuff you see behind the scenes. It may not be sexy. It's not going to hit the SportsCenter top 10. But if you're doing your job as a rookie, right, and you're making an impact on special teams, right? Biggest way a guy makes a team, right? Special teams, cutting that cloth, and doing his job, right? Coach Monken was really big on that, doing your job and doing the fundamentals, right? As long as a rookie gets that down, right, and he's coachable, and he's out there and he's doing the things correctly, he's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm. All right. What are you thinking there?
I mean, at the end of the day, listen, there are 32 teams in the NFL. Only 53 will make the roster for a reason. Everyone can't play the game. And it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's built like that for a reason. The cream of the crop, if you will, not to doubt anybody who hasn't made a roster or anything, but those are the guys who make the team. And it's like Nick said, it's those things we don't see on camera, those things that aren't that sexy, that those time in the film room, those time in the weight room, that time, doing those extra exercises that coach or an assistant coach might ask you to do. You're never going to know who's going to be a star in the NFL, unfortunately, until they're a star. but the time that they can become a star is right here, right now in preseason.
Okay. Well, good. That was a pretty good topic, the way we started on there, guys. Let's go on to our next topic. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get into our AFC South preview. Nick,
Hold on, Coach. I don't mean to interrupt you, but, we're talking about AFC South. I have to prepare myself correctly, so I apologize. Hold on for a second. All right, here we go. Now I'm ready. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. There we go. Go ahead and get started.
I'm going to have to be real careful what I say about the Jags coming up. It's gonna be some fire being spit, but we'll see.
No, don't feel bad. I probably the anti-media guy here in Jacksonville, Florida. Don't feel bad.
I mean, Terry, you let me know if you want to start off hot. We can get it hot real quick.
The AFC South is a touchy subject down here. Let me tell you, we're here in Jacksonville, so obviously we're Jaguar fans, and we live, sleep, breathe, eat Jaguar news and videos and anything we can get our hands on as far as information. Thank God I have Andre that he can get me everything I need. He's right in the middle of most of that stuff, being part of the media. But I haven't been to a camp because we've been busy. I actually just got back in town this week, and I haven't seen anything really except for what I've been able to read on the internet. Is open for anybody who wants to take control. I know the Tennessee Titans are the reigning kings for playoff. I think they've been in the playoffs now 4 of the last 5 years. They got Derrick Henry. Now they got Julio Jones. To me, one of the things that get me they're a no-name defense. I couldn't tell you, who's on their defense, but obviously they're doing pretty decently to do that. So, I'm a big homer, and so I'm the Jaguar fan and kind of hate everybody else. And so I'm gonna let Andre start us off on what he's thinking about with this preview.
Hey man, listen. Here's the thing about this AFC South team. The whole division. You kind of alluded to the coach. The Titans right now are the guy. They got Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and now they have the addition of Julio Jones. Unfortunately, if you're a defensive back and you play corner in the AFC South, you have to see this young man twice a season.
Yeah.
On top of that, he's healthy, which is not a good thing if you're not a Titans fan. But then you got the Colts. Since Andrew Luck, up and left the NFL, and then, Peyton Manning went to Denver, I don't know who's under center for the Colts. Like, just pick a random hand, tell them to stick their hand under the center's butt, and then we got a QB right now. Because, I don't know who's going to be their starting guy. And in the words of Bill Parcells, if you got more than one QB, you got no QB. Oh, and then we got the Houston Texans. By the way, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. Deshaun Watson's in camp. And he doesn't have any restrictions. And he's still slated to be their starting QB until the commissioner comes back and says otherwise. Listen, I don't know what's going on there. It's so confusing to sit in a media room with them and say, hey, the Houston Texans can do something. But then who plays defense for the Houston Texans? Like, just for
I can help you out with that one.
Don't get me wrong. They're okay.
They got a strong linebacker core. I'll give them that. They're going to have a little bit better of a season. I'm looking at guys like Zach Cunningham, right? They bring in Christian Kirksey, a guy from the Dolphins come out, Gruger Hill, right? That linebacker core is going to be the preeminent aspect of that defense, right? And you know who I think? I think Vernon Hargreaves, a guy who I'm biased toward. I watched him at Florida. He had a rough start, first-round pick. He's going to come into the Texans, right? And out of that base 3-4, I think he's going to step up to the plate. I do think that the Texans D is underlooked. You got a guy like Malik Collins who's been at the 3 technique, and he's been disruptive, right? at that defensive tackle spot, that nose tackle spot, and making real problem for the interior line. And mark my words, right? You got Charles Omenihu, who he's shown he can play, whatever side of that defensive line, right? He's been a plug and play dude. He's going to be disruptive. The loss of J.J. Watt may not be as big of a deal if, you got a guy like David Culley as a new coach comes in and establishes that culture right and gets the right dudes in. I mean, I can go on and on about, the plugs and plays of all these people, but I don't think they're lost.
I don't disagree with you, but see, when you preface sentences with if,
it's preseason. What do you think? It's all ifs. I don't got no crystal ball.
As media people tend to latch on to stuff like that, we'll be like, I know. And listen, hear me out. I'm a Jazz fan. I get hired to cover the Jaguars, but guys, listen, I'm not up on the hype train. Don't get me wrong. Because here's the thing. We're talking about Trevor Lawrence. We're talking about Travis Etienne. And we're talking about Chark. But why aren't we talking about Miles Jack? Why aren't we talking about this front line for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Why aren't we talking about a possible secondary here that's right now looks scary in camp? Like, I want to highlight some things that I saw yesterday from the Jacksonville Jaguars, who literally, for the first time, probably since Trevor Lawrence was in 10th grade, made him look bad in practice. To the point, Urban Meyer pulled him out and put Gardner Minshew in under center. Listen, and this is not me saying Trevor Lawrence is a guy. I was never a big Trevor Lawrence fan. Coach can go back and record and tell you how much I did not want the Jaguars to draft Trevor Lawrence. But he's here. And right now, there's still a quarterback battle going on at TIAA Bank Field. Insert the problem for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because right now, and guys, I'm sorry, Gardner Minshew looks like a starter. Trevor Lawrence looks like a rookie.
I think that's good, though. I think that's really good.
I absolutely love it.
I think it's great because you know what? I've seen time and time again, and you can attest to this. You got guys who come in and like, hey, they're the truth. They're going to come in. They're going to be the next guy. Great. He was, phenomenal in college, but he's still a guy who has to get bred into the league. And also, you got Urban Meyer who's coming in, right, as a college coach, like a phenomenal college coach. Don't get me wrong. But how many times have we seen college coaches come in and not do the best, right? You got Nick Saban, Steve Spurrier, Lou Holtz, Dennis Erickson, and Bobby Petrino, all guys who came into the league and failed, right? So I think it's a good idea if Gardner Minshew takes the first snaps and you develop Trevor Lawrence. You don't need to rush it. You guys got the first-round pick. You got lucky with the win or the loss against the Jets. Thank God for y'all. But I think that someone you're not talking about, who I think is going to be phenomenal, who's poised to have a breakout season, Laviska Shenault.
Oh, no. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
He's being talked about. You just don't hear that outside of the Duval County radius. Laviska Shenault right now is the star of Jacksonville Jaguars camp. A name that you don't hear talked about is Griffin. A name that you're not hearing talking about as much is Josh Allen, who, by the way, started today's camp in a 2-point stance. So I think, I'm not sold on this Jacksonville Jaguars team. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan at heart. I bleed teal and black. But until they play the Tennessee Titans, let's just all relax, enjoy the ride.
I think week one's going to be a big test for y'all, right? 100%. Like, I'm looking at who you guys come up next. It's the Houston Texans. Whoever wins that game is going to be poised to have the better season. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be at best an 8-win team. If it all lines up, I see them having about 4 to 5 wins at the most. But hear me, I think it's going to be good. I like Cam Robinson. I love him at left tackle. And then, who I love that you guys, my favorite pick for you guys was Walker Little out of Stanford. I think he's a steal in the draft. He's going to be opposite right? I think if they can work it out, it might be Jawan Taylor at right tackle and Walker Little coming up that spectrum. Because the only thing that's bad about it, yeah, he had a torn ACL once. Great. He hasn't played because of the COVID thing last year. I had him on my big board a year ago prior to this whole thing as a first-round pick. I think your offensive line is going to be developing. That's where you guys need to be. This is a metric year. It's a benchmark year, right? It's a learning curve for everybody. And you guys have arguably one of the better running back rooms in the NFL.
Completely agree.
I do think to pick up Travis Etienne, I think you guys should have kept James Robinson as the one. You guys should have drafted Christian Barrymore and solidified that defensive tackle spot, and you picked up Michael Carter later round because he fell. But you know what? We'll see. I think it's good to have Trevor Lawrence having some continuity with a guy he knew in college. The only thing is, you remember, Travis Etienne had a fumbling problem.
Ooh, interesting you brought that up because guess what he did today?
He let go of the ball.
Oh, he coughed it up like it was a cough drop, which and then had him carrying the running back room's jerseys and pads back into the locker room.
Hey, I hate to see it. But, I mean, I'm looking at y'all's defense, and you guys say you don't got anybody. I see you guys have a lot of potential. I mean, look at this, Josh Allen, Joe Sherbert. I think Dylan Moses is going to be big.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. I'm just saying, no, we're not talking about him.
Cisco at safety is going to be – I think Andre Cisco is going to be your starter. After 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he's your starter. He's your guy. I liked him at safety at Syracuse. He's a big, downfield runner, big nose for the ball, right? I had him right behind Javon Holland, who went to the Dolphins, thank God. But Andre Cisco, keep that in mind. Your defense is poised to be great. Yeah. Miles Jack, we're going to be solid. I think give it about 2 years.
Wow. Okay, I had to stop.
You guys are going to be contenders again.
You say poised to be great? Wow. Now that's
poised to be great.
I mean, here's my problem with the Jaguars defense. Outside of Malcolm Brown, who hopefully takes the nose tackle spot, I don't see any dominant play on the defensive front out of the 3-down linemen. And I understand what their purpose is to keep the linemen off the linebackers. But outside of that, we're good at the linebacker spot. We got one cornerback that we feel we can trust in Griffin. The other guys, if we're counting on a rookie first-round pick coming off a subpar injury-plagued season, we got a second-round pick, 33rd overall, who really his career wasn't stellar, but he moved up the draft board based on his athletic ability. And we got a bunch of other guys, especially at the safety position, that they're basically not any superstars. And we're counting and hoping on Andre Cisco, who's a rookie who had a pretty good college career, to come in and kind of be the star of the safety room, because we don't have anybody established there that we know that we can count on. We haven't had that since the 2017 season. And so what I see is an upgrade to what we had in last season defensively, but I don't see a star-studded defense. I mean, Josh Allen coming off an injury, his rookie year was better than his second year. I just don't, firstly, as a fan, don't want to get my hopes up. So I'm not trying to, when you said.
I'll say this. I'll give you guys some hope here.
Okay.
I'll give you some hope here. I'm a big CJ Henderson fan. I think it's going to be one of those things where he's going to be a guy opposite of Shaq Griffin. I think it's going to be real difficult for these guys, especially the Titans. You're about to play a Julio Jones and an AJ Brown, who, by the way, I don't think Julio Jones is going to be all that good. I think that plasma in his hamstring and all those injuries, he's a relic of what he was. And that's a hot take. I don't think that people are going to be happy about that. I don't think Julio Jones. But I'd say this: you got a defensive tackle out of USC, right? Jay Tufele. I'm a fan of. I think he fell a little bit further, but I think he's going to be a plug and play guy, right? And you guys got so many. You don't. I remember when the Dolphins signed Ndamukong Suh, and that star-studded defense didn't work out too great. We got Byron Jones and Xavier Howard left and right. Doesn't need to be stars. You got to have guys who come in and execute, right? Great. You may win the preseason championship and have the best team and on paper. But you know what? Any given Sunday, that's what it is. It comes down to hard-nosed football, every snap, 4 quarters, 60 minutes. Can you compete? Can't do it. It doesn't have to be the biggest name, right? And at the end of the day, who's going to come out there? Who's going to be hungriest? And I think there's potential to be great. It's just going to take a second. Have faith.
Coach, there's a couple of names I need you to pay attention to as we go along here in this preseason, especially with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Name number 1, Sidney Jones, the fourth, who's been playing. Sidney Jones, who's been kind of rotating in behind Shaquille Griffin and C.J. Henderson because he's out due to COVID restrictions. Tyson Campbell, Chris Claybooks. All of those who I've named so far are defensive backs for the Jaguars. But I need you also to pay attention to names like Dakota Allen, Damian Wilson, and Jordan Smith. And it's a reason why I say those names, because those are 3 linebackers who caused Trevor Lawrence to be taken out today. So I mean, I get what you're saying, and trust me, you're not going to get too much of an argument from me right now because right now their names mean they're just another holding for a roster spot. But I will say, don't sleep on those younger guys right now. And C.J. Henderson is going to be C.J. Henderson. When we get him back, we'll see what we got out of him. But don't sleep on that DB room. Because right now, that's the talk of the camp.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. As a Gator fan, I am praying that C.J. Henderson goes back to – it's funny to say that his form from his very first game of his career. If he could be half what he played like in his first game of career, then we're doing good. Because that first game against the Colts last year, he looked like he was well on his way to being – a guy that was like, that was a great replacement for what we lost that we sent to the Rams. But after that, it kind of fell off, and it fell off pretty far. I didn't see anything that gave me hope after that first game. So I'm hoping one of these other younger guys will come in and give us that type of play. Like I said, I haven't been able to watch any of camp yet. I'm anxious to get out there sometime later on this week to try to see something. But I'm not, especially after the way the defensively performed last year. I'm going to be a wait and see guy on that. My hope is the offense, especially at the receiver position. Oh my goodness, it's like salivating about which piece of candy do you want to take off the shelf today when it goes, and especially when you can also put ATN out of the backfield, and that'll be your fourth. That could be your 4th or 5th receiver depending on the set. What I am also proud is, I know you mentioned Walker Little, the fact that he's really challenging and he's pretty nasty. But what it's also shown as, we haven't heard any bad news about the other guys on the offensive line. We've heard that the offensive line has been pretty solid in the one-on-ones. That's what I heard on the radio, just listening to people. So that gives me a lot of hope, because we're expecting that offense to be a good offense. And when you have this line with the entire new staff said they were good there, which most people here the year before thought that the line was pretty bad. And these guys come in and say, no, you got a good player. We just need to coach you up. So I'm hopeful. But that also means if you're able to do what they did offensively, it does help that defense with those upgrades. So it gives me – I've been kind of predicting a high watermark about 8 games. Low watermark probably a 4 or 5. But if they don't I can tell you exactly what I feel about it after the first 3 games, because they got a pretty soft schedule. And I'm going to tell you right now, to me, the Houston Texans are a shamble of a team right now. No disrespect to new coach Cullen, but I just don't see the talent on that team. I was looking up and down that roster for any relevant players, that will actually, that you have to really game plan for. There is none. The ones that you do game plan, that's to shut their whole defensive presence down. Outside of the Jaguars, the Titans are clearly the king. And I think this is a spot with the injury situation of the Colts, for the Jaguars to make that leap a little bit ahead of the schedule. I'm just talking and listening about the offensive line injuries for the Colts. They're down 3 offensive linemen, and your quarterback's down, and you're bringing in guys like Huntley off the street and talking about, Jacob Eason is supposed to be the guy right now. And he didn't even have any camp for it. I don't think he made more than 10 snaps in the entire season. So this is a chance for the Jaguars.
I'll say this about their quarterback room. I'll say this, and I've done some research on the Colts, and I saw they brought in Brett Hundley. I don't think he's going to be much of a guy. I saw him at UCLA. Great career. Awesome. Green Bay. Didn't do much. You got Jacob Eason, and you know what? Oh, we're going to try to sign a guy off the street. How about the coaching staff? Bear with me. Shows some faith to the players. Like, hey, we're going to trust you with this. Here's the keys. It's 5 to 12 weeks with Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz really got nailed to the cross with his playbook at the Eagles. That's a different conversation. I think Sam Ehlinger, coming out of Texas with a great Texas career, is going to compete against Jacob Eason. And there's a lot of potential there for a real good preseason battle. You want to talk about fireworks that no one ever sees? It's that. I think Sam Ehlinger pushes Jacob Eason, and one of them is going to get it. I think Brett Hundley might get forced to be the guy. Don't be surprised if those two end up being, A and B while Carson Wentz gets fixed. But I don't know. I say this. I don't think the Tennessee Titans either are going to be the reigning kings. I don't think it. I see, a prominent offense, and I see a lot of smoke screen coming out of that Julio Jones pickup. I wasn't totally in love with what they did in the draft, but I think Jeffrey Simmons, coming off of what he's been with his first year, second year, whatever, he's going to be a guy. But don't get it twisted. I think the Colts will take it. I think the Titans will be second, if not a wild card, and they might have a little bit of a hiccup. But it's going to be more competitive in this division than y'all think. I'm really feeling that for sure.
Wow.
And just looking at this, I will say this. You got Eric Fisher at left tackle, Achilles injury. It's going to be something to watch. Quentin Nelson, that hurts. That hurts bad. And then Ryan Kelly, hyperextended elbow. There's only so much you can do with that. That left side of the line is the best money you can buy. Right. But I say this, you get T.Y., Michael Pittman, and Paris Campbell. I can throw that football, and those guys will go up and get it. That's class receiver set. And Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack, 1-2 punching it. I'm happy with what the Colts look like. We can talk about their base 4-3, but that's up to y'all of how you want to handle that.
Well,
there's a lot of conversation to be had here.
I look at their roster, and yes, they clearly have some names on that roster that people know. But when your camp is all about getting your timing down, getting things down, especially with that team with the run game, they too have good young running backs in Mack and Taylor. But without Quentin Nelson, that thing crumbles. And if Quentin Nelson is not able to get back to being the effective, dominant offensive guard that they normally have, they're not going to be the same team. And I always learned this from the coaching world. Beware of somebody else's trash. The Chiefs let Fisher go for a reason. Does that mean he can't play anymore? No. But I don't see him at the same level he was when he was with the Chiefs. Also, he had Patrick Mahomes to make him look a little bit better than he was. I don't know with these quarterbacks, especially on some unproven guys coming in, will they be able to keep their quarterback healthy or run the ball effectively as they was in the first and as was last season? The other thing is, they're average on defense, and if Leonard can't be the same guy, again, they're still they're going to fall down. And I say this is the opportunity for the Jaguars to win a couple of more games than they would have probably been picked to win. And if that happens, they might sneak in the playoffs ahead of schedule. But this was kind of a early Christmas gift to see what happens, because the Colts start out with a really, really tough schedule, and the Jaguars start out with a fairly easy schedule. What do you think, Andre?
Listen, I'm not disregarding anything you guys just said, but there's a young man in Tennessee who lines up at halfback, who on a consistent, seems like yearly basis here, has a highlight or three with the Jaguars, Texans, and Colts where someone is being either flipped over, pushed back to hell, or just made to look like a fool. And I get it. You know, they're having some O-line problems. Julio isn't Julio that we've known in the past. But he's still Derrick Henry. And I have yet to see any man form tackle him straight up.
No, you're right. I mean, with the addition, too, of Dylan Verdun's at right tackle, and you got to think, they paid their guys on the line. I think that pick for them, by the way, that Dylan Verdun, phenomenal. You can't be happier if you're not Derrick Henry. I mean, you're a guy out there who's like, who's going to come and get you? You're absolutely right, Andre. Right?
Like, listen.
I'm not saying that they're going to run away with the division. I'm not going to say they're going to be like, hey, yeah, we're undefeated. I don't think so.
Absolutely not. And they still have to go play outside of the AFC South, and they still got to see each AFC South team twice. Yeah. But as long as Derrick Henry pumps blood into his body and he can have Cheetos before every game, that man still is going to be Derrick Henry, and no one can tell me different until proven otherwise.
I mean, look at that schedule. Look who they play. Look at the top defenses they're up against, right? They're going to go up against an Arizona team that has J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones. They're going to go up against the Miami Dolphins, secondary and defense that is second to none. I think top 5 in the league, all right? And you're looking at the Los Angeles Rams, spearheaded by who?
Aaron Donald.
There it is. Right, that line, it's stuffing, and that secondary is no joke, right? Jalen Ramsey, he's not a little boy to anybody. He's gonna come correct. But it's not like they got a pancake schedule. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be all rainbows.
No. Listen, hear me out. But I'm not disagreeing with you. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying we are understating that that's a grown man behind Ryan Tannehill. Don't get me wrong. You're right. I think people forget that the reason why J.J. Watt has that on his arm because he tried to arm tackle Derrick Henry. I don't doubt the Dolphins front line. I doubt the Dolphins linebacking core.
Yeah.
But
say that. But that's it. That Dolphins secondary.
But now he has to get to the secondary. And then the Rams, listen, the Rams are the Rams. They're going to be good. That's going to be a good game. I'll pay to watch that. But, right now, until otherwise, someone has to unseat Tennessee.
I'll give you a hypothetical. Derrick Henry goes down. What's their backup's name?
Ryan Tannehill.
Right?
He's the second leader rusher on the team, bro.
Yeah, but you got to think. Once people like 1-2 punch goes down, once that goes down, who you got? Darrington Evans. I couldn't tell you anything about him. Jeremy McNichols. You got to hope that the injury bug doesn't come and visit Derrick Henry.
Absolutely.
That's a big man. But hey, he's been in a minute, and they know what to expect, right? It's not like, they're caught off guard anymore. They know he's coming.
They have priests from 5 different religions lay hands on Derrick Henry before every game. I promise you. But at the end of the day, you're right.
It all looks good if it's a perfect season to begin with, but it's not. And injuries happen. Coaching changes happen. I think that Mike Vrabel, phenomenal coach in the NFL. I mean, you look at his tenure and what he's done, right? In the last 2 years. AFC Championship game and AFC wildcard game back to back. He knows what he's doing, so I have faith in him. But I think this division is going to be very messy. I think it is. I think it's going to be a battle, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting year. Well, when you're talking about everybody depending on their finish, like obviously I'm just kind of while you're talking that I was kind of scrolling at the Titans schedule and. They got a pretty tough stretch there with all those first-place teams going back-to-back. You have Buffalo and Kansas City for one thing. Obviously, you're gonna have they're gonna have that target on their backs for everything, on their chest for everything. And Derrick Henry is Superman, so he can't. I mean, right now you can look at the Titans as being freak central, especially offensively when you got those skilled players at they have in there. So they got all of them are superhuman type of human beings, except for the quarterback position. But he's playing at a superhuman rate. It's going to be really, really interesting watching this entire division. And we will see. But hopefully my Jags will do better than we expected. So we're going to jump to the most important part of this show. We're going to talk about our own future NFL player. You heard what I said. He'll be in somebody's camp very, very soon. If it wasn't for the circumstances of his military commitment, he'd probably already be in the NFL. The first lieutenant that we all know and love, Lou Groza Award finalist, Nick Schrage. Nick, we're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions, and I know you got some good answers for us. You know, here's the funny thing. Who would ever have thought a Navy veteran gets to interview an Army guy? That's the first thing. Secondly, I wanted to, first of all, while we do anything, thank you for your military service.
I appreciate the support.
And so we're Andre. We got some questions for you. We're gonna take it as long as you know. This segment I made especially just for you. We're gonna go through a little bit of things. So Andre, you got something for him? We're gonna go with you first.
All right, no problem. I'll definitely kick it off. So Nick, man, first of all, again, like to echo Coach sentiments, thank you for your service. But I'm gonna get right down to it and probably give you your hardest question. Your favorite Army uniform from Nike?
What we got?
Which one is it?
It's what year was it? The 10th Mountain Division. Won the CIC for the first time with this helmet right here. This guy.
Okay.
All white.
Side, Nick.
Right? Playing in the snow when Army camo looking good. I mean, this thing, it got me right. I mean, and on the back, you got that lieutenant, right? And that's historic. And, you know, the Army equipment team, you know, Nike with Nick Detterman, they are a class act to really put together such a historic uniform. But I say this, right? Like, every year they got something going on, and the uniforms are good, right? And I think they're best in college football. Uniswag always gives us props and awards for it. But the game's better. The tradition, right? I only see a tougher group of men on a field than that Army Navy, right? For a lot of us, we know that's the end of our careers. And it's all over everything that we have. It's on my shirt. It's ingrained into you as soon as you walk in. It's beat Navy, right? And there is no better feeling going out there and grinding for 60 minutes knowing that everybody to the left and right of you is holding nothing back. Right? That's really forging a bond.
Okay. Now, with you saying that, would you say that Navy was a tougher opponent than Air Force? So which game matters more?
I think that, you know what Coach Monken always brings into was it's one match, right? The one that you're in, right? Be where your feet are. I get pushed out all the time. If it's Air Force week, we're playing that team out west. It's important because CIC is important. But you know, we're gonna call it what it is. Air Force, they're the little brother here. You know, all well and good. They do what they want, but there's nothing like Army Navy. There will never be anything like Army Navy, right? It'll always be a distant second to what this is, because you know when it comes December and it's snowing out, and you got both cadets and midshipmen side by side, ain't nothing like it, right? It is a battle of the brothers, and because you know at the end of the day we're gonna serve with each other, but we're not gonna leave anything out there. It is a blood feud. And that is Matalolo and that Navy football program, right? They are a class act out there. I mean, true professionals, and they really ingrain a bunch of tough football players and great men. But I will say this. I am biased, obviously, to the Army football program, and I think that the culture established by Coach Monken and that entire staff, it rivals any program in the nation. I think we are the most fundamentally sound program, period. But tougher opponent, that's the one that we play the next week. Air Force is always good. Navy, always better.
Okay, I like to weigh in on this one right here. one of the things that I always like watching when I watch the Army Navy game is everybody knows all the pageantry of it, the entering in the game, the president always being at that game. How is the hype leading up to that week? Does that are you guys isolated, or you're around all of your other, classmates and stuff? What is that week like going up to that game?
So Navy week. So it's actually 2 weeks for us. So following our game prior, we get 2 weeks of prep. And then it is every second, every piece of food you eat and air you breathe. It's beat Navy all the time. We got banners up on the cadets. Everyone's down packed. The instructors are absolutely fired up for this game. A lot of them are old graduates as well, so they have stake in it. And it is blood, sweat, tears, 9 to 5. Beat Navy. And that hype is from anybody except for the day prior, right before we get to Philadelphia. We go up to the stadium, and the cadets do this column to where they're stacked side by side, and we walk out, the whole team, in the morning, and they see us off. But that hype is tremendous. But as soon as you get on that bus, right, and you're down there, it's a business trip. Right? The hype's all well and good. That's for the fans. We're there to go and do our job. We're there to perform and execute and win. Right? There is no substitute for victory. You can look at that in war. Nobody cares about second place. To win, period. That's the goal. And that's what we do, and that's what we're called to do, and that's what we will do time and time again, as history has shown.
So, question: what is the tradition? First of all, I've been wanting to know that come from of also singing second. I believe that's what it's for. The winners go second. Why is that?
Singing second. It's bragging rights. You always sing the alma mater following, right? And the loser will always sing first, winners sing second. But it's just a testament of who came out on top, right? Who's that top dog? And it's knowing that your alma mater and your fan base and your everybody, right, worldwide, is watching as you stand there, chest out, and you sing every word of that beautiful, and it echoes through that stadium, and you make it known that was your day, right? The Secretary Trophy is yours, and you are the dominant military academy, period, right? It's a roar, and it lets everybody know what the stakes were and where we're at.
Okay, and we're talking to Nick Schrage here on the Terry McGriff Show today, man. Again, Nick, thank you for joining us. Now, obviously, the average college student is nothing like a cadet at West Point. So could you give us a brief synopsis of probably a day being a student?
So I'll break it down for you. You are a cadet first. Coach Monken has made that the absolute truth. There is no justification as to why that's not true. We are cadets first, and the first morning, right? You wake up. Time that I used to wake up. 06:30. You got formation at 06:50. We got Mando breakfast for us football players. We go in and we eat around 7:30. Season, you'll go to treatment at around 1300, right after you eat, and then football starts. Off season is harder because you're making up for that class load, and you got credit hours, and you're getting after it on top of spring ball, on top of mat drills, which are rough. So that's Coach Monken's way of weeding out the weak. There ain't nothing tougher I've done the mat drills, and it really makes you buy into that program. But the day-to-day, you keep working on that. You leave practice around 6:30. We got dinner up top, and then you come down. You got study hall. You got homework, and I remember going to bed nights, sometimes midnight, 1 a.m. if you were getting it all done. And that's every day. And it's a grind. It's earned, not given, right? We are truly, I would say, my brothers and the people who played with me are the last of the hard. And that's I completely agree with that. And you can see it on the field. We are the tougher team. And it starts from the day you get to West Point. The academy does a phenomenal job at instilling mental toughness. And there is no substitute for that. Because you're going to see when the fourth quarter comes who's fatigued, who's tired, and who's truly going to stand up and win. And that translates to what we do here in the active army, right? There's so many tenets that you could see translate into what we do on the day-to-day. And those tenets have stayed with me since.
Now, speaking of mat drills, mat drills for most college programs are kind of like, rite of passage. For a military man, what is a mat drill for you guys? And then give me some of the examples of what you guys do in your mat drills.
Oh, God. Mat drills are the roughest part of being an Army football player, but it is a rite of passage. I remember 2 weeks I wouldn't sleep a wink. I would wake up in the middle of the night and just tremor. Like, oh, God, it's 1 a.m. Oh, did I miss mat drills? You wake up, and I remember being at like 4:50, 5 o'clock, and we all walk up to the bus to take us up to the field, and it's quiet on that bus. And then you see those lights on the field all lit up. You got our coaching staff who's ready to go. When I was there, it was Coach Hess. In New York at that point in March. And let me tell you, Terry, you get out there, and Coach Monken holds us to such a precise degree of execution. And if you're not executing, your foot's not behind the line, and you mess up at all, you're running it back. Right? You have several different drills down to like pushing the sled. You got the 5-10-5 pro shuttle, and you're getting gassed. You're back to back to back, and you're competing, and they're keeping score of who wins, and it's competition. You're going to earn the right to be on that team. And it's not just once or twice. It's every year that you're there, you're going to have to find out who wants to be there and who's pretending. And he does a good job at it. He says to us, high expectations do not survive low standards. And he holds us to the highest standard. And it starts there in the spring.
Now, Nick, you obviously, the requirements for an average cadet after playing football is very different from an average college student ending their football career and you're going into the service. What has that transition been like for you, being, that cadet playing football, but then going, as soon as you get done, now you're a full-time service member?
I'll say this. I mean, I'm not going to say it's been easy. It'll be like my thought process is that there's that expectation, right? There's a standard that's to be met because of what's expected of me following, my tenure, not only as a football player, but as an accountant. And, you're really cutting your teeth on active Army, and it's all well and good, right? It's a good way to walk in the door like, hey, I'm Nick Schrage. I played football and I went to West Point. Great. What can you do today? What have you done for me lately? How are you going to perform? All that stuff goes out the window when you got people that you're working with, right? Guys who've seen it, done it, superior officers, soldiers. My best advice to anybody who's coming out or thinking about going is be coachable, on the field and in the Army. Because you're going to get there, do not think you know everything. Be a sponge. You're going to mess up. You're going to fail. And then you're going to try to take what you know from the gridiron, right, of being tough and translating it here. Because no longer is it a game, right? Football's the love of my life. And now you're dealing with, the art of war and soldiers. And soldiers aren't easy to deal with, right? Execution of operations are not easy to deal with. It's a different stake. There's lives at stake if something goes wrong, right? Even down to the littlest things of safety and making sure guys are taken care of. Because last thing you want is, remember, perish because of something you didn't look at, a detail, right? That can be that same detail of getting a foot behind the line and not costing 5 yards. It could be a detail of making sure that you did all of your conditions check for your soldier's kit. So it does translate. It's a little tough, right? Learning curve for everybody, like we talked about in training camp for these new guys. But I think that I have the tools to succeed. It's just applying them in the right way.
Now, you mentioned that, training camp for these guys, you're trying to get your foot down there, no pun intended, into the NFL. But how has that workout been for you, just getting yourself, your body ready, and possibly your mind ready to possibly be an NFL player?
I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, there's nothing more that I love in this game. And my workouts, I had the Army football program workouts that I had from years past. And the Army football strength conditioning program is second to none. I mean, those guys are great, and they didn't just train me to be a kicker and a punter. They trained me to be an athlete, right? And so, and making sure that was there on that field, and I just wasn't an extra body, right? I was actually there with them. And so I'm making all my 4 core lifts in there. I went to Korea, and I was able to compete in a strength competition to where I lifted 1,100 total pounds between squat, deadlift, and bench press, right? So my goal is not to go out there and just be like a skinny kicker or an ankle biter. You know, if it comes down to it, you know, I'm not going to shy away from the ball. I did that in college, right, where I have 7 total tackles, you know, and just being that tough guy. And then getting ready for the workouts, you know, I'm making sure my leg is healthy, being flexible, and it's making sure I'm really taking care of my kick count. Because as a young guy, my leg was like, oh, yeah, I can kick all the time. But it's making sure you're making the kicks count, and you're not just saying little things. Operation time, execution, right, placement. Because there's 32 guys in the NFL who have families. And I'm trying to take that job from them. And they're the 32 best in the world. And you know what? It's that mentality of you're going in there, you're going to execute, and you're going to do it to make sure this team isn't just good, they're great. What do I bring to the table? And I want to make sure that I'm giving this team a chance to really compete and succeed.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, your journey of this, because, you know, we're working on that currently to get in there. How do you feel about the process of all the military athletes trying to get into the NFL right now? Do you think, especially President Trump signed an executive order that all the gentlemen can actually, and ladies, can actually go and play professionally and come back and resume their careers when they're done? How do you think that will affect the future cadets and sailors and airmen coming out, far as trying to prepare for like the NFL draft?
So I'll say this, you know, I've seen a lot of my fellow football brothers at school, you know, get their chance to the NFL. You know, Brett Toth really, you know, paved the way for us after Ali Villanueva did that a few years prior, following his service. You got guys like Elijah Riley on the Eagles right now, Cole Christensen playing linebacker for the Chargers. So I think, and I've talked to a lot of the guys in the service. I've talked to higher-ranking guys, and I've talked to lower enlisted, and I've talked to cadets. No one seems to have a problem with it, and I don't think it is a problem. You're not vacating your service, right? You're postponing, or however they want to do it with, you know, what your deal is. But it's not like you're opting out of service, right? You're still going to serve honorably, but you're just making the opportunity, or the most of the opportunity you have in the present. I think it'll amplify recruiting. I think that a lot of the guys now are looking at this as a positive. I think it looks good for the service academies. I think we're well represented. I think that, you know, even at the end of the day, not everyone's going pro, right? No, like not all 4,000 cadets are going to make it to the league. It'll be a few, like 1 or 2 of us who might, you know, do a year or 2, because the NFL stands for not for long, Terry. And at the end of the day, you know, if you get a chance, you get a chance. But it's what it is, because at the end of the day, when the pads come off and I finally hang up my cleats, I'm still an Army officer. I still have a job to do. And I know what that is.
Okay. Oh, I want to switch topics on this now. Most military academy cadets, Navy, whatever service academy you're in, they're getting compensated because of their military service. Now comes this thing with regular college students, college athletes can get this, have the benefit of this thing called name, image, and likeness. In your opinion, matter of fact, I just want to rephrase the question. What is your opinion on this, and how do you think this will be beneficial or detrimental?
I think that it's somebody who really wants to see the NCAA video game come back. I'm liking this. I mean, I would love to play that game again, but I think it'll be good. I think it's a good start for these players, right? To get an opportunity to, you know, make some money off their likeness. Again, not everyone's going to get sponsored by Zaxby's. No one's getting a Nike contract for every team, right? And you got to think that it's a marketing thing. I think it's a great start. I think these players are well deserving. And you know what? Get them a little bit extra money. It would be great. And you teach them early on that value of $1 and how to manage their cash before they make it to the league. I don't know how the service academies are going to do it. I can't speak to that. I'm sure that they're going to handle it well, as they always have. You know, they're very, very tactful with it. I think it's going to be very beneficial for these players to get an idea of how to manage themselves and their likeness. You can always think of the drawbacks and the negatives, but I think we got to wait till we see a season behind it to see is it going to hinder performance? I don't think so. I don't think our college guys are going to go out there and try and ball out because Adidas is paying they're paying the salary. Not the case. They're going to play for the love of the game. That's what you see at the college level, right? Because the pursuit is the league. There's still a goal here. Being sponsored by Beats is not going to make me a better football player. But I think this is a good trend up.
Okay, now Nick, obviously you're a student of the game. You're forced to be a student as if you're a cadet. So if you could say you're like any punter in NFL history, who would it be?
If I was any punter in the league, I would say, I was up for the Ray Guy Award as a candidate. So I would say Ray Guy for sure. Ray Guy, absolutely phenomenal talent with the Raiders. And I would say also, I had to think, there's a guy right now in Seattle who's no joke. Mike Dixon, he is someone to watch. That guy is a phenomenal pickup for them. And, a guy or two in Green Bay, J.K. Scott. J.K. Scott with phenomenal leg from his days in Alabama. Those guys are great. But I would say Ray Guy, absolutely. Tried and true. Just phenomenal.
Okay. And last question for me, obviously 32 NFL teams and, hoping for you to get in camp here soon. What's your pitch to the GM, position coaches, and everyone that's in that room to hopefully get Nick Schrage in the uniform soon?
I'll say this, I've had some time off the field to really evaluate myself and my capabilities, be introspective, and learn more about myself mentally, right? And then have time away to really appreciate the love for my game. And also, I would say it's taken away a lot of the pressure behind making those kicks, kicking off, punting. I would say that my pitch is, hey, I love the game, but at the end of the day, I still have a career. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to perform for you, and I'm going to be more than a contributor. I'm going to be a game changer because there's three sides of that ball, right? You got offense, defense, and special teams, and if you can be certain that special teams is won on that day, right? You flip the field and you win field position. I'm your guy, and you're going to be able to execute your game plan, right? And it's me being flexible and knowing that at the end of the day, I'm going to execute well. Because truthfully, it is just a game. The crowd left and right, you really can't hear it through this. But the pressures of it, fall by the wayside. And I'm here to be a contributor, and I'm here to make sure that the team is first, right? And I'm going to lead to the best of my ability, and I'm going to go out there and do my job. And I'm going to win. And I'm going to win the job. It's not handed to me. It's earned, not given.
Gotcha.
That was about a perfect answer right there. If I was a GM, okay, let's go bring him out there in the field. But one of the things I wanted to just elaborate on, first of all, I was going through your highlights and just looking at all the different experiences you had, all the different teams from, playing obviously the Army-Navy game against Ohio State, a plethora of high-level division teams, and you performed at a high level. Like you said, you were on the watch list. Well, you're a finalist. Excuse me, my bad. You're a finalist for the Lou Groza Award. And
great guy.
So people know that one of the reasons you didn't win it is because your team was so good, you didn't get enough attempts as we go along later in the season. And that's also because what you were doing with your game, flipping the field, with your coffin kicks, with your great kickoffs. A lot of teams, had the game plan, you changed the game plan in those games. So a lot of times the people don't really realize the importance of special teams. I know most of the coaches and GMs do, but when you're trying to get a job in there, this is probably one of the harder places to break into NFL is your specialist position, because it is like kind of a subjective position depending on who you're bringing in. I've seen already some kickers been brought in and brought out, and I'm thinking my guy still hasn't got a phone call yet. So we're going to be working on that. I wanted you to speak to that when what you think what would be your first emotion once you walk into that NFL facility? What is your emotional state gonna be like?
I just want to, say first and foremost, just to make sure it's not twisted. I was not up for the Lou Groza. That's for the place kicker award. I was the Ray guy.
Ray guy. I'm sorry. My bad.
No. Just want to make sure there's nothing twisted here. But no, I'll say this. It wasn't about the award or the recognition. That's all well and good. All conference is all well and good. But I had the best special team coach, period. Right? Sean Saturnio mentored me as a man. That was what developed me. Right? I did not have the best sophomore season. I was a freshman, sat at the bench, and I was developed. And then he had the faith in me to come out and do my job. I didn't kick much. Awesome. You know what that means? That my team is executing. And when I was called to do my job, I executed because that's what they expected me to do and contribute. And that's all. I'm not worried about, reps. I didn't count the reps. I made the reps count. Right?
Oh, I love that.
I was put in positions where I was uncomfortable, but I've been told again and again, I got comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so my thought process, if I had the opportunity to, bring what I've learned from the Army football program to the professional level, is all right. Be where your feet are. Do your job. Their feeling is, okay, this is all well and good. Cool, I got the call. A lot of kids get the call. But I'm not there to just show up, take pictures, and call it a day. I'm there to be on that team, and I'm there to help win a championship. It's a good start. It doesn't mean it's where I'm going to finish. It's just being competent and not being complacent. I'm ready to grind now and shine later. They taught me that at Fort Union Military Academy under Coach John Schumann, right? There is no substitution for, getting after it now and enjoying the spoils later on.
I love those philosophies. Well, gentlemen, this has been just awesome. Nick, we have enjoyed you so much. We got to do this again, my friend.
If you have me on, it'll be great. If you guys will have me, I'm more than happy to talk shop with y'all any day of the week, right? Andre, you've been great. Hard questions, and I'm glad you took it easy on me with the Jaguars punches. And Terry, you've been like a brother to me and helped me through this whole process. I can't thank you guys enough for letting me be here and represent my academy, right? My hometown and everything that football stands for. As a product of Fort Union Military Academy in West Point, I'm truly blessed to be here.
Oh, one more thing before I let you go. You have to talk about your before you got to the academy. We were talking about the academy, so I need you to give me some words before we let you go about that experience.
So, yeah, so to anybody who's listening and thinking, my senior season's coming, I'm not getting recruited. I had 0 offers following my senior season at Patriot High School in Nokesville, Virginia, and I didn't know where to go. I told my mom, "Hey, Mom, I'm not gonna go to college. I think I'm good enough to go play football at the next level. I'm gonna go and take a year to get recruited." And we didn't know what that looked like, but I stumbled upon a place called Fort Union Military Academy in Fort Union, Virginia. And without FUMA, I would not be where I am. Fort Union Military Academy has been the host to guys like Michael Thomas, Plaxico Burris, right? Cardell Jones, Eddie George, Vinny Testaverde, all down the line. Guys have come and gone through that program. You can look up on Wikipedia their legacy. And I didn't lose a year of eligibility. I was really molded into the military lifestyle, and I go back to Fort Union regularly. I have family there. Coach John Schumann is the best football coach in placing human beings at the next level that I've ever met. He's now the athletic director, and Coach Frank Garrett has done a tremendous job taking those reins. But those are guys who come in to FUMA because they don't have the grades or they weren't recruited. And they know the product that comes out of there. It's usually a Virginia Tech and UVA football factory. But we got guys, who were 5-star recruits, went to Clemson, and, didn't have the grades. But they go to FUMA for a year, they get after it, and they play well at the next level. And Fort Union is always going to be family first to me because I don't play at this level without it. And I'm truly grateful for them and what they did. If I could advocate that to anybody, go to Fort Union Military Academy. You've seen the Last Chance You guys. It's like that, except you don't lose your eligibility, and there's a legacy there, and it'll teach you how to be tough. And I'll say this, that's my family out there. That truly is.
Well, that's wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad. I just wanted to make sure you got a chance to talk about that because I was very impressed when we spoke about that, man. But it's been great having you. We're definitely going to do it again. And once again, folks, this is the type of content we're going to be giving you, especially as we get to later and later in this year. We got NFL and college football coming up. If you like what we're doing, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Once again, also all of our sponsors, Team Sportswear, The Red, Watch Game Film, the Women's Tackle Football League. Thank you, everybody in the Women's Tackle Football League. It was an amazing season. We just ended it this last Saturday, and getting ready for the 2022 year. And also, I'd like to get out to my shout out to all my boys over there at Laces Out. You know who you are, Nick, Todd, Mike, and Ashley, all our good, and all our ladies at the DEM Project. But and definitely can't do any of this without our great, wonderful producer, Granville Moody Fowler, my wonderful co-host, Andre L. Sullivan. Tip the cap again, my brother, with them great questions. Again, one of the best people in media. And the extraordinary, have a great story, Mr. Nick Schrage, soon to be NFL player Nick Schrage. I'm telling you, if you're watching this, scouts and GMs, you're missing out. It's not only just his talent and who he is as a man, but this is going to be a wonderful NFL story when you get in there and they're going to tell your story. I believe it in my heart. But for everybody else out here watching us and on the YouTube land, thank you for watching. And until next week, everybody have a fabulous time, have a fabulous week, and we'll see you right here next week on the Terry McGriff Show.